Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya, and today being a special day, the 3rd day of December 2014, we're celebrating persons living with disability. I mean, gone are the times when persons living with disabilities were set aside and stigmatized and not given opportunities. Times have changed, and in studio today, I'm joined by Dr. Sankok, National Council for Persons with Disability, and Judy Okite, who comes from Association for Accessibility and Equality. Karibuni kwenye studio.
Thank you.
I want to start by saying what Dr. has just told me a few minutes ago, that if you put in mind the fact that everybody is created in the image and likeness of God, then you do not sit and tell somebody that they are different from you just because they are abled differently. Beautiful quote that I'm getting from there. Asante sana, Daktari. Again, many welcome. Now, the theme for today's, for this year's celebration is Sustainable Development, Promise of Technology. Judy,
yes,
can you elaborate on that one?
The theme was chosen by the UN because it's a UN Disability Day that we are celebrating. And this year they're focusing on technology, the different kind of technology that we can have around to assist or to help persons with disability to live in their normal lives. Yes.
So what are some of these aspects that can be corrected when we embrace technology for us, Sangok?
Yes, you know, technology in Africa is really still at its lower stages. But in other countries, you find that technology and research on individuals, the type of disability, the degree of disability really assist. You see, like an example of Pistorius of South Africa. He does not actually have both legs, yet he ran together with able-bodied people in competition. He ran with Kinarudisha because of technology. Here, the technology we have here in Kenya is the technology that was used by our forefathers. So you find that at times, the assisted devices we have make us more disabled because they have those heavy materials. So you find, like, I'm better than actually Pistorius because it does not have both legs.
Oh,
Me, I
yes.
have
you
one
have
leg.
at least one, yes.
At least one. But I cannot compete
You still
with the able-bodied people simply because of technology.
The technology.
And that is why the National Council for Persons with Disability, in conjunction with the Ministry of Labor and our government of Kenya of today, that is the Jubilee administration, have come up with what we call a disability, an African model of accessibility center that will be put on in a land in Kabete, whereby there will be a research center, so that if you come and you are a person with disability, for example, physical disability, then you are tested under medical laboratory where your nerves are tested, and maybe you are given assistive devices that sense even your movement, your intended movement, so that they can assist you in the movement. If you are somebody with a hearing impairment, then it will be medically tested. Which degree is it? Can we give you a hearing aid?
Yes.
So something like that. So we really are going towards maybe that, developing that accessibility center, which will have a center for technology, for research. We'll also have a center for cancer, skin cancer, for our brothers who are living with albinism. We'll also have a corrective surgery theater, whereby if this disability can be corrected, we can correct this person so that they can go back to the society, pay taxes, pay duty for their vehicles, so that they don't become a burden to the government.
Oh, fantastic. That's a beautiful initiative. What are some of the common disabilities in Kenya, Judy?
We have persons who have been born with disability. You could find guys with polio. You could find the guys visually impaired, born like that, the hearing impairment. And then now the highest rate for physical disability is the road accident. I mean, there's so many people who've become disabled because of that. And then apart from the road accident, there are many other different kind of accidents, just falling off and someone fracturing their spine, a problem of that. And then also we have the category of people because of the paralysis, stroke.
Stroke, yes.
Yeah. So we find that there are those people who have not been attended to well, they end up being
Paralyzed.
disabled.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Daktari, there are certain persons who will believe, yes, I have a kid with special needs. I have a baby who needs special attention. But they do not want to take them to the special needs school. Why is that? And is that encouraged?
Before I answer your question, let me come to the categories of persons with disability first.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Persons with disability in Kenya and worldwide are 15% of the population. In Kenya, it is even more than 15%. But we are actually 6 million Kenyans living with disability. That is the 43rd tribe of Kenya. And we have different clans in us. Those are the categories of disability. We have visually impaired, we have physically challenged, we have people living with albinism, we have dwarfs because, you know, they are short, there are some things that they have to request or wafanyiwe, unajua kama kuhakisha taa kama switch iko mbali kidogo, socket iko mbali kidogo, inakuwa ni shida. Sometimes even kama uko na a taller girlfriend or boyfriend, lazima upande meza ndio mfikie. So we have those categories. We have what we call cerebral palsies. We have mental challenged. We have also survivors of psychiatrists. We have also people with paraplegic. Yes, so we have different clans in this 43rd tribe of Kenya. Now to your question, the issue of maybe special schools.
Special schools, yes.
What we are advocating is actually an integrated kind of school, an inclusive environment. We want all of us to be together. Because if I'm a person with disability, just physical disability, if I'm a person with albinism, if I'm a person with maybe paraplegic, I'm a paraplegic person, and then you take me to a different school, I compete with physical disabled person, we will feel we are lesser human. But if you are included in the same school with other able-bodied, because it is my leg, and school require my brain, so my brain is not affected. So if you take me to that school and then we sit in the same class and then I defeat them in the exam, my self-esteem is brought up. My spirit is brought up. I will see that, yes, I'm disabled, but surely I'm able differently. There's certain things that I can do. And now I start concentrating on those talents and those
things
that I can
strongest
do. Yes, I forget about running in the field. I now start now channeling all my energies
into what you're best at.
What I do best. And actually we become the best workers. Yes, because when we sit in the office, I sit in my office, I don't get out. But you sit in your office, somebody call you, here, you are out there answering your calls. Me, I cannot go out because I see even the floor is slippery. I can fall down. So I answer my call and continue with the work. So we are wafanyikazi nambari moja.
As you are wafanyikazi nambari moja, there's the law that was passed that we need the public and private sectors to have at least 5% of their employees as persons living with disability. Is that enough?
Yeah.
Or is that a step at least in the right direction?
That is a step in the right direction.
Yes.
A very good step in the right direction. Though it is not enough. I have told you, persons with disability worldwide is actually 15%.
Yes.
5% is lower. So we wanted actually that 15%. But still, the government have done a lot. And if we start with 5%, that means we can even move a bit higher. And that is very important. The only problem we have is that the Constitution, Section 55, which talk of, Section 54, which talk of 5%, may be just something on papers. Yes, the implementation part of it is where it is difficult. And actually we have found that, like you talk of Kajiado County. Kajiado County have really employed persons with disability. Out of the ministers, yes, they have 10. One of them is a person with disability. That is already 10%. The chief of staff in Kajiado County is actually a person with disability. So many, I cannot mention all of them. Governor Gideon actually was there with us when we celebrated the United Nations Disability Day in 1st December, just ahead of this one. And actually he was with us. He was on a wheelchair competing with us. That is positive. But there are other counties that I'm telling you, It's like
it's yet to be
Homeaka
implemented.
Mapamba Maskio. They don't read the constitution. They don't understand what is in the constitution. They don't implement the constitution. There is goodwill in the constitution, in the policies of the government, like the 30% tender allocation, but the implementation part of it. Talk of 30% tender allocation to women, youth, and persons with disability. We are lumped together. Women are very aggressive. You find that women, even if they don't form companies, their husband advised them to form companies. So they take 25% of the shares. Youth are faster than us because they are not on wheelchairs. We are on wheelchairs. So they run there and take 4.5%. And then what remains is 0.5% for persons with disability. This 0.5% sometimes is the supply of toothpick, is the supply of toilet paper, is the supply of sanitary towels. So it cannot make an economic impact on the life of an individual. That is why at the moment we are in connection, we are in talks with the government to make sure that if they talk of 30%, it is 10% to women, 10% to youth, 10% to persons with disability, and 10% in terms of the amount of money in the tenders that have been allocated, not based on the number of tenders.
Oh, fantastic. Judy,
Yes.
You want to add something to that?
I want to add something on the previous question on why to have an integrated school as to oppose to that.
Yes, of course.
The second point, adding to what Dr. Sangok said, is it will help the attitude. Because the attitude towards persons with disability is what is really bringing us down. So if we have a school whereby you have been in class with a person with disability, even when you get out here, you will realize this person is just differently abled and not sick. Because if you meet with this person outside and all you're thinking is, okay, this person needs help, because you have not interacted with this person on a day-to-day. But if you're in this person in class, they need help here, you've been helping them. Then even when you're out there in the street, you will realize, okay, does this person need help or they're fine? Yes. So that's also the other point, why we need integration, why we need to start having the same school for the abled and disabled together, so that our children come up knowing that there are people who are different. Yes.
And they're part of us. That's a very important aspect, because a lot of times, maybe you've grown up and your surrounding did not expose you to a person who's abled differently. So when you meet them later in life, you're not sure, how do I interact? How do I? So that's a very, very valid point. That preempts my next question, which was going to be, how has time changed for us? Because I think now we are a little bit more accommodating at this because of the integration. Is it one of them? And are there any other factors that have brought us more together to be able to work together and opened our minds to be more receptive to people who are able differently?
Yes, I can say looking at what we have today and what we had 5 years ago is different. And we are grateful for that. There's more accommodation. There's more... I mean, 5 years ago, if I went for a job interview, then at the instance of entering, somebody would quickly ask you, like, can I help you? You know? And you're like, yeah, you called me for an interview? And like, that was you. You know, that's the stunned look, like, oh my goodness. Yeah. But now, people are taking it differently, you know? I mean, you appear and they ask, okay, can I help you? Yes, I came for an interview. You can actually see people drawing back. One of the places that have not really done much is the transport sector. Because, I mean, you stand by the road and you're waiting for transport and they see your condition and they're thinking, 10 minutes of our time to get you in? Nada. So they will pass you. But what we had like 5 years ago, like someone would literally ask you, like, do you want help? Can I help you up? Is diminishing.
Is diminishing.
Yes.
Oh, that is really sad.
Yes.
If you talk about the public transport, for example, maybe there needs to be a law that requires any public transport to have, is it called a ramp?
Yes.
To be able to wheel your wheelchair in if need be.
There is the law.
There is the law.
There is the law.
Implementation becomes an issue, Dr.
Actually, the National Council for Persons with Disability, one of its main factors is now to issue adjunctive orders so that all buildings are actually accessible to persons with disability and information is accessible to persons with disability. I can see even on the screen that there is a sign language interpreter so that our persons with hearing impairment can access information. That is now the law. It have the period that was given for people to make sure that their public transport, their public built environment is accessible to persons with disability have already elapsed. Because let me ask you, what is actually a disability? Disability is a barrier put across a human being. And then this person become disabled. Because if there was ramps everywhere, that person on a wheelchair will just come to the office without requiring any assistance. Yes? If there was actually Kenya Sign Language in schools, even those hearing impaired students will undergo the normal school programs without any problem. But since you put staircases, then I'll come and if I'm on a wheelchair, I have to wait and ask for assistance. Let me assure you, anybody can make anybody disabled. If I build a 10-story house, then I forget to put staircases and the lifts, all of us will become disabled.
It's
all
true.
of us.
It's very
so
true.
it's only that barrier. And that is what we are saying, is that it is now in law that people must remove barriers in any public built environment. So if you are putting your building for a supermarket, for a petrol station, and your vehicle for public transport, it is for all members of the public, persons with disability, make 15% of those members of the public, so they must be included. You cannot make transport for only able-bodied. You cannot build a building for only able-bodied, because that will be segregation, which is actually against our constitution.
Fantastic. As we wind up, because I'm told my time is up, I want you to address what is happening with the students at the University of Nairobi, and I think they are up in arms about monies that are supposed to be distributed to students living with disability na bado hawajapata. As we wind up, Daktari.
Yes, thank you very much. I think this one is a very great opportunity because one thing is that National Council for Persons with Disability have been without a board for the past 1 year. It have been without board of trustees for 2 years. We are only 4 months old in office. Yes, and when we came in, we found a lot of corruption, and that is why you saw the disability sector being in Jichopevu the previous years. So we came in and started by cleaning the house. We have a new CEO in place. We have a new procurement officer in place. We have a new human resource manager in place. We are now doing interviews for 21 more county regional officers, so that at least every county, because previously we are only 26, one county or one regional officer going through 2 or 3 counties. That one was a burden of work for one individual. Now we shall have one regional officer for every county, so that it can reach, because 6 million Kenyans, the office in Nairobi cannot purport to be able to know them individually.
Yes.
The other issue is that people used to apply for school fees. Some of them are not persons with disability. Some of them are beneficiaries, and yet they had already completed their degrees. So what they do is that when fees is paid, they go and ask for a refund in the university and share with the cartels in the National Council for Persons with Disability. When we came in, we say that we have to be transparent. And what we have just asked the students, and many students have actually complied, is that first give us your fee structure and your fees balance. Even if your parent asks you that, it is so simple to provide. We have also asked students to make sure that they have registration with National Council for Persons with Disability to ascertain that this student is actually a person with disability. Because the board cannot call all the students and see them individually. One by one. So what we have done, because it's a digital world, so your access by the doctor, ascertain that you are a person with disability, the category of disability, the degree of disability, and then you are registered. So bring that registration number, so that if tomorrow the public fund, if the Anti-Corruption Authority or the auditors ask Sango, you gave this student money for school fees, yet he is not a person with disability. I'll produce the registration number and the documentation. I tell them, go for the doctor who lied to me that this person is a person with disability. I have to protect myself. I have to make sure that the law is followed. But you find when you come with change, there are cartels who have been benefiting from this money illegally. You know, there are cartels who have been paying school fees for their girlfriends, for their boyfriends, for their brothers, for their sisters, using disability money. That thing we have said it will not continue. And that, I'm sorry to say so, we have to follow the law. The university must ascertain that you are a person with disability, you are a student in their institution, and this is your fees balance. Because other persons with disability are rich. This is supposed to be safety net from the government, just to protect the poor. If you are disabled and you are rich, you are not qualified to get this money.
Yes,
if sometimes you have other donors, please don't take this money and another student who does not have donors, who is very poor from the village, drop out of school because of lack of school fees, because wewe ulichukua kwa sababu ya greed, ndio uanze kuuliza for a refund, upate hiyo refund uende naye kutembea huko kwa streets. No. Let me assure you, the law, the fees balance, I must see the fees balance, I must see certification that you are actually a person with disability. I must also know that you are actually still in that institution and a student in that institution.
Well put.
When you bring those ones, it's okay. The other institutions like KU, other institutions like Mount Kenya University, others, today will be releasing 3.9 million, which already we have put in the account of all the institutions that have already complied, and all the students that have already complied, a total of 62 students. So we have already paid those school fees, that is 3.9 million, and we will today in the United Nations, the president will hand over those dump checks to the institution to just show that we have already paid those money. And we will continue paying more as far as you follow the rules.
Asanteni sana. I'm told our time is up. I wish we had more time, but thank you so much for creating time to be with us. I'm sure we should be able to find more time as we celebrate this day, and it should not just be a day that is celebrated one day. It should be a day that we are reminded every day that if everyone is created in the image and likeness of God, then we do not have time to segregate them. Today in Code 254, we want to talk about we are still focusing on persons living with disability, and we want to talk about the representation of such persons on various platforms. Keep it. Good morning, Kenya.